Season 7, Episode 22. Total Episode 169.
Nice.
I'm Angelo, and I'm here with Nancy and Jay.
Hello.
Nice.
Nice.
Hello.
Nice to be here with you. Welcome, A.K. Wirru, international award-winning cosplayer, costume maker, and workshop presenter from Sydney, Australia. A World Cosplay Summit Grand Champion. He's won over 70 cosplay competitions to date. He now travels the world as cosplay competition judge and workshop presenting guest at various pop culture conventions. Find out more at akwirru.com. That is AKWIRRU.com.
And some more exciting news. We've finally released our new Seth and Aurora designs to go along with Otafest's fresh new branding. A huge thanks to all of the Otafest community love and a big, big shout out for all the work done by Collateral Damage Studios. And as a reminder, get your panel submissions in by February 19th and share your passions with our Otafest community.
And last but not least, for your health and safety, a quick reminder that Otafest 2022 is a 2-day event rather than our traditional 3-day event. In keeping the interests of everybody's health, we will be requiring that all attendees have masks, and we will be checking for vaccination status.
Wonderful. Wonderful news.
Yes, lots of announcements. It's crunch time. It's February. In the background, that means we are in the middle of it.
Firing on
thick of
all
it.
cylinders.
Yes.
Oh my god, oh my god.
All the emails, all the details, all the meetings, so we can get you that live convention experience in May.
That
Cross
sweet,
your
sweet
fingers and
convention
toes.
love.
It's been so long. It's been so long.
It's been a minute.
It has.
Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I really wanted to point out our amazing cosplay guest, A.K. Wirru. I always say that I don't know much about cosplay, but I've heard of A.K. Wirru. I've seen A.K. Wirru's stuff.
You can be on the fringe, on the absolute edge of the cosplay
Adjacent
community.
Yes.
And you've probably seen some of the things that A.K. Wirru has done.
Yeah.
These cosplays are so huge, so elaborate, so gloriously incandescent that you can see them from half the world away. I could go to like the top of one of the mountains here in Calgary. I could squint my eyes. I could look over the ocean and be like, that shining beacon
Could it be?
over the ocean.
Nani?
Could it
I
be?
see it.
Could it
I
be?
see it.
So I'm
It's A.K. Wirru.
very tangentially in the cosplay sphere, and I have seen memes by him on the internet. Like it's crazy. Like I think I just went to go check it out like after we made the big announcement, and I was just scrolling through some of his tutorials, and I'm like, I've seen this before. I recognize this tutorial in the form of a meme. Wow.
It's insane. Like, just the level of detail. I mean, like I said, I am not much into the cosplay world, but I played the games that he cosplays from. And my God, they
Has he
are
done a great
just
job.
so good. There's one, like the first pictures that kind of show up on the gallery of A.K. Wirru's website is from Monster Hunter, specifically Monster Hunter World. They are just so spot on with the coloration, the detail, like...
I love how the sword is bigger than he is. I know that's a Monster Hunter thing,
Yes.
but I feel like I feel like as a cosplayer, you would be tempted to make it a little bit smaller, a little bit more manageable, a little bit less intense.
That is for
A.K.
mere
Wirru.
mortals.
For mere mortals, for A.K. Wirru.
On that cosplay, like specifically, because I have my character has that set of armor, And what's really cool about it is like it's a samurai armor. It sort of has like sort of typical, shell armor sort of look to it. A lot of sheen. It's got a couple of spikes and stuff from sort of the monsters that it's hunted from. But the monster it's hunted from also has like these horns, and on the I shouldn't say horns. I really should say like more like antlers.
Antlers.
And the antler detailing is different from the rest, where it's not just like some spiky, shiny stuff, because it's clear that we like took the mounted antlers from this beast. The antlers are covered in like a little bit of a hairier finish, because that's what antlers are actually. Antlers are full of like real life antlers are full of blood, and they're covered with fine hair, and it is like, wow,
Chef's
delicious.
kiss.
Truly. So yeah,
I kind of enjoy, like, I guess this is part more of the character design rather than the cosplay design.
Mhm.
I kind of like how there's the giant, like, 8-foot long sword, and then they're also carrying a normal sized katana as well, just for good measure.
Yeah, that's the backup katana.
It's like, yeah, I've got this 8-foot absolute monster cleaver, but let me have this butter knife too, just in case.
I also have to say, like, I'm just super jelly. I don't know where that location was shot at, but you look at that background and clearly it's like subtropical.
Oh my god.
Like, love it.
It's so nice.
So
Like,
world fitting for
I
that
just
costume.
really adore the level of detail with which everything is done. Like,
Yes.
no shortcuts were really ever taken. If you even decided to inspect, like, a high-res image of any of the characters that he's done assets for, and you look at them and you're just like, no, he did the homework. He did it under a microscope, and it shows.
you did the homework, you did the hard work,
You did.
all the work.
And then there's
And
me.
now
If
we
I like,
get to benefit.
if I'm just like playing arts and crafts, I'll glue my fingers together. I'm pretty sure. Like
Is that what
100%.
happens during Iron cosplay?
This is why I don't cosplay.
I have legitimately glued my fingers together with like crazy glue once. Don't recommend.
It's
Do
not that hard to
recommend.
remove, but obviously it's a great inconvenience to say the least.
Yeah, and you're just
Oh, yeah.
missing a patch of epidermis, and you're just like, it'll grow back. It just feels weird.
It's true. But yes, AK Wirru is coming to Otafest. They're presumably going to be in some sort of cosplay for us.
In some kind of events for us.
I really hope it's the Monster Hunter cosplay. It's like, I will actually take a picture with a cosplayer, which is the first time I've done that in years, I think. And
I always feel like I'm inconveniencing someone if I want to take a picture with them, so I almost never ask.
I know what you mean, and quite frankly,
I never ask.
here's the thing. Unless the cosplayer looks like they're actively trying to get somewhere, chances are you stopping being like, oh my god, your cosplay is amazing. It looks fantastic. Can I get a picture of you? Like, just reflect it, just give them an awesome compliment, ask them for a picture. That is the best inconvenience that they're going to have all day at a convention. Like, don't go up to don't like sneak behind a cosplayer and just be like, click, click, picture of the cosplayer from behind, I'm happy. No, stop them. Be like, you're amazing. Can I get a picture? Hell yes. Most cosplayers, I'm talking like 99.9 cosplayers, if they're not in the middle of lunch, if they're not if they're not hauling ass to the next panel, they're so happy when they get stopped for pictures.
It is true. So make sure you come by, say hi to all of our guests, especially AK. I know AK likes doing workshop tutorials and judging for competitions and stuff like that. So there's definitely some places at Otafest that you'll catch them there as well. I can't confirm all the content yet because I'm not the person who booked them. But again, just super stoked to have AK.
And if you are not stoked, go to akwirru.com. You will be stoked. That is the stokening.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much of it, too.
If you don't know, get knowing. Get learned. On a similar note about design, epic design.
On February 5th, Otafest unveiled the new designs of Aurora. The new designs of Seth. Oh my god.
Cute as heck.
Yes. I know a lot of people have probably been waiting. You've seen our logo branding change. You've seen a few hints and pieces on social media, but we've been holding it in for the last couple of months after we've got everything sort of finalized and done. And huge shout out to our design team who took all of our inputs and all of what we expected the community to want as well into the consideration of the design for Seth and Aurora, of course. Huge shout out, of course, as well to Collateral Damage Studios, as we mentioned before, who took all of our input after that and actually made them real, because that is just mind-blowing to me. Just be like, here is the thing you want.
I love how cool Seth looks. Like she practically looks like she could be like a runway model. Like she could be showing off every single piece of gear that she's got. I love how absolutely cute and kind of tired, kind of blasé Aurora looks. I wanna pinch her cheeks. I wanna wake her up. I wanna be like, oh my god, wake up, Aurora. It's time for you to be cute, and you're already nailing it. Hell yes.
And she would hate it, and it'd be adorable.
Exactly. Exactly.
And all the elements of like the accessories, every like piece of the clothing, the facial expressions, everything was taken into account. There was no stone, no pixel left unturned for your eyes.
I love Seth's little scythe necklace. I love Aurora's scepter necklace.
I like their hairpins.
I think they're so good. The hairpins match, and they're on opposite sides, so they match even more.
Yep.
They're like a super fancy sharp O-wing. I love it.
I love it. I need it.
There were a lot of really cool iterations that I think at some point we might be able to share. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe we shouldn't have said that. No, I don't think it matters. Like, obviously we'd have to go through few design iterations. There were some really cool ones.
I can guarantee you we didn't draw the first thing and then run with it.
Did we? We're running low on budget. We only wanted to spend $1, but they asked $1.50, and we're like, okay.
We pay our artists more than $1.50.
We pay them many times more than that because we value them.
many $1.50.
Yeah, much $1.50s.
Many $1.50 increments, yes.
But yeah, we probably did, I want to say 2 or 3 design iterations. And when I say we, like just the team as a whole, taking in all of our initial input and expectations, refining them, taking them to the studio, all that kind of entire process. I get very passionate about design, even though I might not be like, I don't know, I'm definitely no pro, but I know what I like. And there were times where like each of us had aspects where we were like, you have to keep this, or we've got to find a better thing to make this, perfect, and so on and so forth. So that went back and forth for a little bit, but like I said, when we got the art back, and it was just everything we wanted. We hope it's everything you expected as well. And going forward, you will see it in our branding, our advertising, websites, merchandise, so many different ways that I can't even imagine. Really hope that it hits everybody's expectations.
If this does not hit your expectations, what?
Well said. Well said.
What?
What?
I wanted them to be cat girls, and I'm like, well,
I feel like that'd be way
that's
off
not
base,
impossible.
but right? I mean, there's nothing stopping you from cosplaying a cat Aurora at Otafest. Nothing at all. You could show up and be like, I'm cosplaying Aurora as a cat. Done. You could do this.
I'm pretty sure if you just put cat ears and a tail on it, everyone would love it.
Probably, yeah.
So just cosplay Aurora with cat ears and a tail. You're done.
I'm just sad in the sense that, like, we couldn't put them in their own manga / anime or video game of some sort, because this level of art deserves that level of like media, right?
I know, right?
Imagine seeing Aurora pop up in an anime scene and you'd be like, my God, I can see exactly the type of character she's already going to be. But I love the fact that our character designs can just like literally pop into a scene of, any modern show or manga page, and you'd be like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So, very, very fun. Oh,
Wow.
it's it's just one more part of the reveals
One
and the
piece
announcements.
of the puzzle.
Yep, we have
It's all
lots and
coming
lots
together.
and lots more. Oh my gosh.
You know what else
So
is
many
kind of like a
parts.
puzzle that's so satisfying when it all comes together?
Is it a real
What?
puzzle?
So cable management. Like, we're going
Nailed it.
from the big stuff, from cute anime girls, to talking about wires.
I mean, I'm sure everyone can sort of relate, because who doesn't have a computer setup that at least has some wires running from it?
But it's so satisfying.
I mean, I think if you're running from a laptop, you're pretty much good.
Still got a power cord.
When Dio's desk, for the longest time, she's had it on a 90 degrees, so the side is beside a wall. The back of it is completely open.
Mm-hmm.
This makes it easier for her to set up her lighting and everything for streams. But for the last 2.5, maybe 3 years, because it's been open like that, there's been a mess of wires on the floor behind her desk. She's hated it. It's made cleaning hard. It's so difficult. And today, we finally took steps to fix that. And what we did is, on every power bar out there, you've got the slots on the back for securing the power bar just to the head of some screws underneath the desk or wherever you want, mounting it on a wall. Who knows? But getting them off the floor, just getting those power bars off the floor to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
cleans up your space so much. It's so much nicer. It's so much more usable once you have it. And even though you're not always looking at the back of your desk, you're not always looking under your desk, when you know that it's good, it feels better. But beyond that, we took the extra steps. We used some Velcro. We tidied everything up so it's not hanging down looking like freaking spider webs or rat's nests back there.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, it is a night and day. It is a true battle station
Man.
to be proud of now.
Now I need
That's
to
good.
up my game, because for the longest while, my setup has been just freaking cables everywhere, and not even if you discount all of my audio equipment for recording at home and
Mhm.
doing streams, I have so many things connected to my main PC, which is a laptop, by the way. I've got a USB hub on the left and the right. I've got one hub for my mouse, my keyboard, Ethernet, and then in the other hub is I need my secondary monitor, I need this webcam, and I need my ring light, and I need whatever. And it's not the worst thing ever, because I do have a tendency of keeping most of the loose cabling bundled up with Velcro strips, but it's still kind of a mess.
You need more Velcro or more cable management.
I need
to get it.
No, I need to put my power bar under my desk. Apparently,
Hell yeah.
that's what I need to do.
Hell yeah. Not only that, it gives you more slack. One thing that I've really noticed is in the past, before I did that personally, I found that my monitors, where I had the monitor on my desk, was dictated more by how the power adapter could reach the actual power bar that I would have, the surge protector, whatever you would like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And with it being on your desk, it's a solid usually 2.5 feet, sometimes 3 feet closer to the monitors. That way, I don't know why, monitors always seem to have the shortest power cables for me. But that way, I have more freedom on my desk to lay things out the way that I want to. And it feels really good. It really does. It's hard to describe.
So, I think the thing that stopped me from properly cleaning all my cables up was that at the beginning of the pandemic, it was working from home was that luxury that I really, really wanted, but the office I worked in wasn't really accepting of that. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, this is so nice. I can finally work from home. But no one knew how long it would take for us to be getting back to work. It could be a month, it could be more than that, but no one really thought to really like dig in and like really started upping their work from home game until it became very clear that pandemic was sticking around for a while. So that kind of did it for me, because I know that whatever I have set up, I need to be able to take it down and probably take it with me to go back to the office one day. And then that just became not a thing. That like in the last year, that has just completely been wiped. Like that's not even a thing that's going to be happening. So now I feel like it's a little bit better. Possibly the one thing that might stop me, or at least make me reconsider placement, is the fact that I have a standing desk.
Oh.
So, permanently attaching my power bar to the underside of my desk may or may not work in my favor there.
That really depends. We had desk risers while I was at work. And for that, because it's a little bit different, your desk doesn't move, but the riser does. We would actually hide the power bars under the desk riser, Velcro the cables to the riser stands so that they would move with it.
Oh.
And then everything would move properly.
Oh, I see.
But
I see.
in that sort of situation, if you do have a standing desk, if you can mount the power bar to the bottom of the desk, as long as you can make sure there's enough slack from the power bar to be able to rise with it, that would be actively better, because then everything on top of your desk is plugged into that power bar that rises with it, instead of every other cable.
There's still a flaw.
Being... What's that?
If you have a tower that's on the floor,
put it on the rising desk, obviously.
No.
Also true.
Put it to get your computers off the floor. That's where dust comes from.
That's not where dust comes from.
Actually, dust
No.
doesn't come from the floor. Dust is
It just ends up on the
accumulates
floor from you.
from you
Desk-
and all of your skin cells.
Floor-mounted
know-
desktop computers get so much
Do
more
you know
dust.
the
It's
rate of how many
ridiculous.
skin cells you shed in a
Okay.
day?
This is very true because, okay,
Trillions.
that aside, the floor is the lowest part of your room, so that is where dust tends to accumulate. That doesn't mean that it doesn't also accumulate on your desk, but Angela does have a point, because we have fans and stuff circulating air through your PC. If you're circulating more dust through them because it's closer to the ground, then yes, that does make sense.
But, yeah, I
Um,
mean, my tower has a filter on the bottom, and I also could have just told it to shoot air out the bottom, even though that wouldn't really make a lot of sense.
Doesn't
Huh.
matter. Get it off the floor.
Yeah.
Quite
You
frankly,
lose
like
30,000 to 40,000 dead skin cells each minute.
Each
Nice.
minute? Holy crap. How many skin cells
Which
in
is
like a
about
single
50 million cells every day.
I used to
Man.
keep my desktop on the floor. But once I learned a couple things, like first of all, this was a long time ago, back when I was in high school. It was on the floor. I opened it up once, and there was like damn near inch and a half of just dust bunnies.
Okay,
at the
that's a
bottom of the case.
lot.
Dear
An
God,
inch and
it
a
was
half is a lot.
horrifying.
Ew.
I don't have that problem because I live alone. I don't have pets, and I clean my house.
If you have a carpeted floor, you could be like shuffling your feet across the floor. It could cause some static buildup that could jump into your case and kill something if something's not grounded out
That
properly.
sounds like someone else's problem, but not mine. I'm keeping my tower on the floor. I also would say that my cable management is not like perfect, but it's not a problem either. It's not like super messy.
These days,
I
the
don't-
grounding issue isn't that big,
No.
but it's still something to keep in mind. Last year, I can't remember which company it was, but they had a problem where a PCI Express riser wasn't grounded right, and it would catch fire in your computer.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is a thing that still happens. On top of that, imagine if your computer is around desk level, the top of it is around desk level or lower, and you spilled something. If you spilled a drink of some Coke, who knows? If it spills, and it goes into your computer, you might be having a bad day.
Jay, didn't you have an incident similar to this not that long ago, like a few episodes ago?
I don't remember.
Okay.
So I know that one. I lived it multiple times. So
Oh, Jesus.
so I was
Lessons learned from Angela.
I learned for quite a while that no, I don't want it directly on the floor, but I don't want it on my desk taking up space either. So I had like a little riser box usually on it, so it would be like 7-8 inches off the floor. I usually tried to keep it so like the top of the desktop was at desk level. I found that to be very aesthetically pleasing, and the parts of the desktop that weren't a fan intake or exhaust, I could put stuff on top of it. I found that convenient. Now, just because of the nature of things, it was on the right side of my desk. I'm right-handed, so my glasses, my cups, my drinking things, vessels are usually on the right side of my desk.
Oh yeah, no, I remember now.
There
I
was
remember
there
my
was
thing
one
now.
time.
Yes.
There was one time where I was having a nice night. I was drinking. I was enjoying myself, drinking some good old Strongbow cider. Hell yeah.
Not a sponsor.
Where I reached over in the middle of a TF2 game. That's how long ago this was. And I knocked over my Strongbow, and the mouth of the can went right over the exhaust fan on the top of my PC.
Oh.
It hit the fan.
Oh, no.
Literally everywhere in the case. It splattered on the heatsink. It splattered on the motherboard. It splattered on the hard drive. It splattered on the power supply. I freaked out.
Did it smell really bad?
It smelled like apple cider.
Okay, but not like
It was kind of
something
pleasant.
that was burnt.
But I freaked out. Me being mildly inebriated, knew that right now was not the time to figure this out. So I immediately unplugged my PC, powered it down completely, pulled out my laptop, and continued to game. Hell yeah. In the morning, I found out that I was so lucky. Everywhere that the cider hit just happened to be a plastic part. Once I let it dry out, once I let it just become no longer liquid, that desktop lived for years. Until I did it a second time.
You didn't clean it out?
Jesus.
Hell no.
What?
I didn't want to put liquids in there.
Well,
I didn't want to make it worse.
But
until it happened a second time, and that second time was Coke and vodka.
Have a computer anymore.
Okay, so now that you were talking,
that time I actually killed the motherboard.
Well, yeah, because it's sugary.
Yeah. Dude.
Yes. Well, so is the Strongbow.
The Strongbow isn't that sugary compared to that.
But ever since then, my desktop, I still don't have it on my desk. I still have it beside my desk, but I have it propped up to the point where if I spilled anything, nothing would go inside of it. It's not low enough that anything can get inside of it. It's a high. And multiple times I've spilled things on my desk, and multiple times I've been like, haha, I will gingerly go over, get a towel, wipe it up, and it'll be like nothing ever happened. Instead of actively worrying about my floor-mounted PC becoming rained upon.
So...
Also, Jay, you're in a basement suite. Get it off the floor in case it floods.
Okay, that's valid.
Flood.
It could.
No. And that's what
you spent like...
That's
your,
what is
your
insurance
worth more than my
for.
car.
That's what insurance
Insurance
is for,
don't help you if you can't get a new 3090.
I can get a new 3090.
I don't believe you. 3090s
I don't care
are
if you
a
don't
myth.
believe me.
Have you
It
ever
doesn't
seen
matter.
a 3090 in the wild?
I sure have.
I'm
Like
fairly
3
certain
times at least at this point.
graphics cards stopped being manufactured back in 2020.
At
Oh, is
this
that
point,
what happened?
at this point, I reimburse myself with a 3090 Ti. But anyways,
Ugh.
no, I do remember that I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but like there was a time right before the podcast we were preparing to record, and I spilled coffee on top of my desk, which is also on the right side, which is also close to where my computer is, which is where some coffee may or may not have ended up. But I have, like I said, filters on my desk top tower, and there's filters on almost every side of this case, so that actually kept out the water. It did smell like coffee for a little bit until I could get some good cleaning into it, but not
Get
actually
that
an
good
issue.
boy off the floor.
No. The floor is where the cold air is. When you have a 3090, you will understand that you need the cold air.
I will not weigh in on this conversation any further. However,
I think we need to get off that topic.
I will ask you if you've ever spilt anything into a keyboard before.
Oh, many times, hundreds of times, thousands of times. I can't even count.
Very few times.
Once I actually cleaned out and fixed the computer of one of my coworkers, not computer, keyboard, of one of my coworkers who spilled split pea soup into his keyboard.
Ew.
So here's the thing. I do eat at my desk fairly often because, again, I live alone. And even if I didn't live alone, like even when I lived with my parents, we rarely use dinner tables. We're not dinner table people. That being said, what I do is like I have this little riser on top of my desk that has some shelving in it as well, some drawers, and I just like sort of and in the middle, sort of where my keyboard is anyways, there's a gap for my keyboard to slide in, so I just slide that away from my food as it is, so as I'm eating, pretty much no food gets on my keyboard.
Nice.
That's great.
I don't make that mistake. Have you made that mistake, Nancy?
I haven't spilled stuff into my keyboard that was ever actually a problem, I guess. Like,
I'm sure like crumbs and stuff get in there.
yeah, like
for one
crumbs
thing,
and
but, like,
dust tend to just naturally get into your keyboards because if anything is on your
40 to
hands, it will just
50,000 cells a minute.
a minute. Several
You know,
thousands
it might,
of minutes.
It might be more than that because your hands are right on top of your keyboard. They're actively dropping like spores.
It's-
Are
Especially
you
if
saying
you
that
have
you
dry
have skin
hands.
on your fingers?
Yes.
Yes.
You have skin on your hands?
Yes.
I like it that
That's
way.
disgusting.
Surprise.
Disgusting.
Not all of
Help
us like
yourself.
to use our bony digits for breaking locks.
Help
okay?
yourself.
Anyway, two things. One, I generally only drink water throughout the day, and I don't usually have super sugary drinks anyway, so even if I spill something, it's not likely to be something awful. Two, I almost always have mechanical keyboards with floating key designs because that enables you to just clean out from like right under your keys instead of having to take all your caps off and like get in there with a vacuum. So I like that too. But there was one time, a long, long time ago when I was a foolish teenager, where I spilled orange juice into a like regular basic bitch Dell membrane keyboard. And I did freak out because it was the only keyboard I had, and I needed it for school and for everything else, and you know, I didn't know what to do. I like the switch in my brain to handle this problem just flipped off, and I was like, what do I do? And the first thing I did was I unplugged it, but then it just like sat there for like a full 30 seconds staring at it like, what do I do? Like it had never happened before, and like my brain was just in shock. So I thought about it for a second and I was like, I should not take this to the sink and run water through it. That seems like a bad idea. So what I ended up doing was just not having a keyboard for the rest of the night. Like I tried pouring as much as I could out of the corner, but it just, I couldn't, like my brain wasn't working. It was in so much shock from it actually having happened. Because like the actual act of my glass falling over and like spilling orange juice everywhere was actually like a really big shock to me because I don't spill things often. But anyway, long story short, Nancy doesn't deal well with spilling things, so she usually minimizes the ability to spill things. And that usually comes up whenever anyone hands me a drink that's in a can. I usually just barely open the mouth of the can, and that's it. Like, you can always tell which can is mine because I don't open it all the way. It's always like a little sliver open. It serves one as my identifier that it's mine, and two, if I do spill it, it's not going to spill out at like a fast velocity. It's fine. It's cool.
Fair.
Man, you must hate those like wide mouth beer cans.
I do.
The ones where the whole lid comes off.
I do hate those, actually. I do, because like I don't benefit from a wide mouth opening, and I don't need the lid coming off.
Okay.
So what's all this? What prompted you to
No.
mention a keyboard?
I have a
though?
question. I have a question before that
Oh,
Oh,
regarding
okay.
the mouth hole sizing of a drink.
Okay.
So some places, some coffee shops, some other restaurants or whatever that you might get an ice drink. Some of them will give you essentially like sometimes like bubble tea shops. They'll just give you like the cup and then the lid, and the lid will have the little opening at the top that you can drink out of.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of like
But
a Timmy's lid, but I think you mean a
sort
different
of.
one.
No, but I mean they're similar. Like it's not like the technology is that far off from each other, right? But do you ever worry that like the lid's not on enough, and then if you're gonna do that, it'll like pop open and then like
This happened to me.
spill?
This
but-
happened to me in university once.
Right.
Where I thought the lid was on, but she had just placed it. And so I went to go grab it with like the regular speed with which you would grab what you assume is a mostly sealed cup, and it just spilled like all over my hands, hot coffee. And I
Right.
was just it hurt, but I was also out of coffee, so I was also like more emotionally frustrated than out.
I mean,
this
you were a
hurts and
student.
sucks. And I was a student,
You needed
so
that coffee.
I needed that coffee, but I also couldn't afford to buy another coffee to make up for it. So I was just out of coffee, and I had just scalded my hand.
Right.
The other
It was a
thing,
bad
too,
day.
that I hate is that, as you know, paper cups have a seam where, you know, the paper comes around and it joins up in a vertical seam. That seam is always present on the lip of the cup. And I've discovered, very unfortunately, that if you position it closest to you, like on like right where you would be drinking from it, it might
it can leak from there.
It leaks from there, exactly. So
Yeah.
I've had it like, you know, leak fairly aggressively. Like it's not like a slow drip. It was like an actual like there was a pretty big gap in there.
Stream?
And it was just like all over my lap. I took my first
Oh
sip
no!
and it was just like, oh, that's weird. Like, I didn't miss any from the lid. What the hell happened? And the lid was on tight.
Right.
So nowadays, if I have a cup like that, I tend to check and make sure that the mouth hole on the lid is directly opposite from where the seam is.
So here's
Yep.
here's another part of that where
Mm-hmm.
like obviously for coffee not so much, but they will do this for bubble tea drink lids where they have that little opening as well. But then you'll put a straw into it. So that sort of fixes the problem, I guess. Except there's usually multiple holes on that cup lid, so if you tilt it, it'll definitely spill.
Mm-hmm.
But the other problem is, as well, is that our straws, and I will. This is the thing I'm clearly going to die on. This is the hill I'm dying on. I just hate paper straws all the time. So if the choice is not sure if lid is on tight versus paper straw, I have to be on board with maybe lid is on tight versus use paper straw. I hate paper straw. That's how we're saving. That's how we're saving the world at this point. Is not because I'm using fewer materials. It's because I refuse to use the material at this point.
That's better.
I mean, that's fair, yeah. Like, just
Reduce
creating
is
less
the
waste in
first
general.
R.
Anyways, back to keyboards.
Yeah, okay. Kind of related tangentially, since we were talking about computers anyway. I recently got a new keyboard. This is a keyboard that I bought a
Yay.
year ago because a year
Oh
ago,
my god!
I thought to myself, I need a keyboard for when I start going back to work. Yeah, and like, my work keyboard was basically repatriated into the system. It just became like a hotel keyboard, so anyone could use it, and it was clear people had been using it when I went back to the office, like a handful of times. Like it was moved around. It was always on a different desk. I'm just
Right.
like, okay, well, someone's using my keyboard. During a pandemic, that's not really something I want to do, sharing a keyboard. So I thought I'll buy like a nice small profile one that I can bring, and then, you know, at the end of the day, I just pick it up and I bring it with me home, and it's mine, so I'm gonna buy it, and I'm not like obligated to leave it with the company or anything like that. So I got a little 65% keyboard, and the 65% still have arrow keys on them, and a couple of non-essential keys, so like home end and page up and page down.
How much money? How much did it cost you?
And
You know how you keep people from using your keyboard in an office setting, have it be a Dvorak keyboard on the firmware level.
Oh, a Dvorak keyboard would be rough for me.
I would hate to do that.
But okay, valid point. If you really didn't want to share a keyboard, you could change the keyboard to a Dvorak, and then nobody would want to use it.
Yeah.
But
Or just use text to speech only. I have no keyboard at all.
oh, coding with text to speech
Text
would
to
be
speech is a
difficult.
programmer.
Speech to
Oh
text.
my god.
Yes.
Also, I wouldn't want to do that if I were trying to write like a personal email. Like, oh man, that would just be really awkward to do in an open office setting. But Jay, back to your other question. This
Yes.
one probably cost me, I hate to say it, but close to $300.
Okay,
And
so
the reason why is because A, it is a specific color palette that I really like.
Right.
It is B, switches that are not common ones. So they're not
Right.
cherry switches.
sure.
These are NK silks, but they've been recolored to specifically match the keyboard. So like this
Right.
whole thing, this
Ooh.
whole
She has
thing is
it's
like
got an
a
aesthetic
very
deal with it, right?
aesthetic
Yep,
package.
I understand.
It's just very aesthetic, and I'm sure you
Nancy,
understand because you also
I-
have like a specific look that you wanted for all of your tech items.
I bought a water cooling thing for my processor that cost another $80 more because of the color.
Because of the color.
Because I only
mean-
because like the company made it in two colors, and I wanted the silver and white over the black. So I
Fair.
paid another $80 on it. I know.
Fair.
I know the
you
pain.
do what you want to do for your aesthetic, and if it matters to
Yeah.
you. But so I ordered this keyboard a year ago. It was a group buy, so you pay for it well in advance. They use the funds
Mm-hmm.
to actually get it manufactured and get it distributed.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I was in for a long wait. But when I got shipping notifications for it, like couple of weeks ago, I was like, ooh, I forgot I got this. It was a moment where I had actually almost forgotten about it because I wasn't really on the lookout for like another item. I wasn't really looking, and I had managed to keep my curiosity and like non-commitment issues to certain switches. I managed to keep a good lid on that, so I just
Right.
wasn't really looking. And then, so, you know, when you get notifications, you're like, ooh, I have a thing coming. I've almost forgotten what it looks like. I know what I got, but I don't, like, remember all the details about it. So it shows up in a box that's looking kind of beat up. And, like, it's
Excellent.
it's fine. It's more or less fine, but it looks a little rough. And, like, whatever, I had to go pick it up at the post office. So when I get home, I actually look the box over as I'm opening it. It's clear that all of the tape had been cut. And there is a very clear has been opened by the Canada Border Services Agency, like, tape on it, because they retaped it. And you're like, okay, well, they opened it. Fine. I had to pay duties for it because it was so expensive, and it came from the States. But when I opened it, it was clear that they had opened the actual product packaging. And I don't know about you, but there's something really visceral that happens in my brain when your fresh opening experience has been taken away from you.
Well, I mean, it's the knowledge that you paid for something that you like. I don't know how you want to quantify brand new, but like, you know, that might be a personal thing. But I would agree with you. I would
mean-
agree with you that like it's one thing if the
Clearly.
packaging, the shipping packaging is damaged. You're just like, yeah, because there's other
'Cause
people
it's shipping,
handling
whatever.
it, and yeah, that's the whole point is that it's supposed to be a protective
But
shell.
the internal
of the
packaging
actual
had been
product.
opened.
Yes.
And like
Clearly, someone at CBSA just needed a keyboard for like 5 minutes.
yeah, I
Maybe
don't
they
think
saved
you
the world
can't-
in that
you
moment.
can't tell if it's been used because, like, you know, you look at it and you're like, okay, someone has clearly opened the internal packaging, like the actual product packaging. And the reason why I could tell is because it was a cardboard box. It's the kind with a lid that you flip open. So it's got two little flaps that go in the front, and then
Yep.
you pull the front open, and then the whole thing flips open like a nice lid. And
Mm-hmm.
that lid wasn't sitting flush. And the reason why is because this keyboard came with a couple of extra keycaps that were supposed to be like slipped inside the case. This keyboard comes with a carrying case, by the way. Like this is a whole package deal. It's the keyboard with some extra keycaps, plus you get a carrying case with it because it's known that this is a portable case. You are expected to be traveling with it. Therefore, it gets a carrying case with nice padding and stuff in it. But
Nice.
the case is now dented because when they put it all back in, they put it all in the wrong place. So all those extra caps just dug into it, and then they smushed the box closed. And you could tell that it wasn't supposed to be smushed closed that way. And there was just a very visceral moment where Nancy was genuinely angry at another human being.
How dare they?
And it's like, I know you're doing your job. I know you have to look at these things because electronics do come with like a duty charge over over a certain limit when it comes from the States. I get it. And I get that you have to verify what this is. But put it back nicely. Don't put it back in a way that damages something. Like, it just... Now I've got this really ugly dent in the carrying case because after they put it all back in, it was still rattling around inside the shipping box for a while it got here.
And packed in a way that wasn't the same, as we
Just-
all know. It's
Yeah.
like if you ever get a pizza and... you open up the pizza box for the first time and you take your slices, but then you decide to have leftover pizza and you're like, well, I just don't feel like putting it into Tupperware and I have enough room in my fridge as the whole pizza box. So I'll just close the pizza box. It'll be okay. I know how to close a pizza box. And it just doesn't close the same way.
What are you talking? Why wouldn't you do that?
It just doesn't close the same way.
Who repackages the pizza into Tupperware? You just leave it in the box and put it in the fridge. What do you mean?
It's not pristine.
No, that's normal. That's the normal human thing to do.
To be fair, I don't have the fridge space for a full pizza box, so I would put it away in a smaller container to put it in the fridge. But that appears to be asides from the point.
I'm on a podcast
I
with
think
aliens.
that is a topic for the next episode.
Which actually is the spring anime previews episode.
Also true. So stay
So
tuned for that.
It'll be spring anime previews plus a little bit about pizza and how our feelings are
I
on
didn't
leftover
forget.
pizza.
I didn't forget that it's the preview episode for spring. I just forgot the one for winter. Don't worry about it.
Don't
Yay.
worry about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.
next
Thanks for
time.
listening.